wonderful Tinesha Tutt. Welcome, Tinesha.
Hello.
All right, so the reason why you're here today is to learn about real estate. And as a nurse entrepreneur at an early age, at like 25 years of age, I purchased my first starter property. It was a 2 bedroom, 1 bath home. And from there, I purchased rental properties. And eventually, because I wanted to open up an assisted living facility, I purchased 7 acres of land, rezoned it, went through that whole, it was a long process.
I
I
bet.
can't believe how ambitious I was,
Oh yeah.
how crazy I was at an early age. And so as a nurse, I've always invested in real estate. And fast forward to the current time. In 2022, I wanted to sell some of my commercial property. And then I researched how much commission I would have had to pay out selling the property. And that's when I found the wonderful Tinesha. And so I do appreciate you. You're always just this ray of sunshine. And I don't want to take any of your thunder. So would you please introduce yourself to our YouTube family?
Yes, thank you so much for having
You're
me.
welcome.
My name is Tinesha Tutt. I am a realtor here in Jacksonville, Florida. I am licensed in the state of Florida and Virginia, and soon come
All
Georgia.
right.
Yes, so so I started in real estate about 3 years ago, and it was, I don't want to say forced because it makes it seem like it wasn't my choice, but it was not my choice at the time. Now it is my choice. But at the time I was an audio engineer touring for Disney on Ice, for all these different companies and stuff.
That is amazing.
Yes, and then COVID hit, everything cracked down, things started slowing down. I went and got my real estate license during that time frame in hopes of going back to tour, and that was just going to be my side income. And it became my full-time career. From that point on, I knew I did not want anyone to have control over my funds, and from that point I have not. So yes.
That is wonderful. And so these nurses I know, during the pandemic, they made so much money.
Yes.
The travel nurses were like traveling for like the full year to pay off
Yeah.
hundreds, thousands of dollars on their mortgages. They were paying off their houses. But there were also some nurses and healthcare providers who were spending it frivolously. And so that's why I think it's really important that we share this information, because a lot of people, they probably thought about investing in real estate, but just haven't done so yet.
Right.
So I usually start off always with the same questions. How did we meet?
Oh Lord. So Eunice messaged me on Facebook. You want to tell how you had been watching me?
Kind of stalking her. I was like, this happy-go-lucky girl. I want to be happy like her.
So Eunice had been stalking me for I don't know how long, and she shot her shot, reached out, and I said yes.
Yes to the real estate.
Yes. But when we got on the phone the first time, we had a really good conversation. She had a certain drive. I knew she had invested in real estate herself, so it's always good to have someone that is knowledgeable in those areas from such an early age as well, to know like what the market was like back then as well. So although I was not in real estate during that time, my dad was, so I watched him through those phases.
Yes.
But now actually being in it, it's a totally different like
So
mindset.
we actually went through the last, real estate crash, and so that's how I lost some of my properties. And so it was interesting because now in having, we'll talk about short-term investments or short-term rentals and long-term rentals. This time I was so much more wiser because I didn't just rent my properties out because I saw this season coming. I rented them out to somebody who was on Section 8, somebody who had guaranteed income. So having a team that has a mix of younger and older real estate agents, or more
Younger
mature,
and younger.
more mature, it's a good balance. And so tell us about Occupy Real Estate Group.
Yeah, so Occupy Real Estate Group, I like to call it an ecosystem because we house everything here. So we have the real estate company, we have Occupy Mortgage, we have Occupy Property Management. I'm missing something.
It's okay.
We have so many
What's
things.
the website in case they?
Yes, so we have the school as well. So we have Occupy Real Estate School. So we do everything from the ground up, whether you want to buy, whether you want to get into real estate, everything is in-house house for you, but you can find us at occupyrealestategroup.com.
And we'll make sure we share that information again, because it's like one-stop shop. So like whenever you come to Florida Training Academy, if I don't offer the training you need or the service, I know someone who knows someone.
Mhm.
And so it's really good to be with a team of people who actually connect the dots. And when people say, hey, Eunice, what do you do? I tell them I connect good people with good people.
Yes, yes.
And so I think that's a good way to be right now, because we're all wearing so many hats. You're a nurse, you're a doctor, you know that you want to open up your own office and that you may or you may not want to lease. Well, this video is going to help you decide what's going to be the best option for you.
Definitely.
And so, this is a hard question.
Okay.
Is this a good time to buy real estate?
So it's always a good time to buy real estate. I always say that whenever you are comfortable with that payment, interest rates are going to do whatever they are going to do. But a lot of the times people don't look at the full picture. So there's a lot more that goes into a real estate mortgage payment than the interest rate. You have taxes, you have insurance, you have the initial payment. So with that, you have to look at all aspects. Can you afford that payment? So whenever you are comfortable, whenever you know your budget, that's the best time to buy. Always follow the people with the money. The people with the money are the investors. Investors are always buying. They do not care what the market is doing.
Exactly. They're telling you not to buy. Meanwhile, if you think about all the houses in your neighborhood,
are being bought by them.
They're being bought by the investors. And so I love the fact that you pointed that out, because when I developed that land,
Mhm.
I actually got approved for the mortgage. And so for me to build that assisted living facility from the ground up, I want to say that the loan would have been close to $1 million. And when they showed me how much I would have had to pay, Truth in Lending, I decided not to.
Yeah.
and so, I wish I would have known more in the beginning. I wish that we would have had so much information just freely floating and people like us to contact, but I didn't have that.
Definitely.
And so I spent a whole bunch of money to figure out that that wasn't the best route for me.
Yes.
And I know in some of our other conversations, we talked about starting with the end in mind and always having an exit strategy.
Yes.
And so if you're interested in purchasing real estate, then, whenever we do communicate with you and we talk, that's something that we want to find out. We want to find out your why.
Yes.
Why are you doing this? And you really want to be thinking about long-term, can you actually afford this investment?
Yes.
And so I'm currently helping a CNA, and you all, I just love my students. And so my students trust me enough to actually help them reach the next level with their education, but also help them find or purchase their first homes. And so this particular CNA, she qualified for over $20,000 in first-time homeowners.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so what programs are available specifically for healthcare providers?
So there's a lot of different programs. There's programs that are nationwide. There's some that are statewide. So I always recommend to research your specific state and your county, because some of them are private. But some of the most popular ones are the Hometown Heroes and the Nurse Next Door program. So those two programs are really beneficial. A lot of times people don't know how they qualify. So you don't have to just be a nurse. You can be a healthcare provider with the Hometown Heroes.
I mean, that list is so long.
Yeah, it's so long.
Radiology.
Yeah, definitely. So you don't have to pay an application fee. You don't have to pay anything up front, and it's not like one of those programs where if you sell the house, you have to pay it back. So it's an actual grant that you get. They have $100 million, I think, in funding for the Hometown Heroes program. So once that money runs out, they may replenish it and so forth.
And so that's the difference between you coming with $25,000 to the table at closing, or between your down payment, etc., to you coming, out with a few $1,000s.
Yes.
And so those first-time buyer programs are really important. And if your real estate agent isn't discussing those with you, that would definitely be a question that I would be asking.
Definitely.
And so we talked about the programs. For those who are interested in buying an investment property their first time, and then we're going to give our disclaimer: we're not lawyers.
We're not lawyers.
We're not accountants.
Exactly.
We're talking from personal experience. What's the difference between a short and long-term rental? Short-term and long-term.
So I would say location. As far as where to invest a short term versus a long term.
So a short term, we're thinking about Airbnbs, okay, and then long term would be somebody who's signing like a 12-month lease.
Yes.
Okay.
So anything that's 12 months and longer, sometimes people consider 7 months and longer as the long term. I consider it 12 month and longer, but you can have Airbnbs or you can have short-term rentals that are, 3 months and shorter. Some people, use those if they're purchasing a house and they just need a short place to stay for, a little bit of time. So that's the difference between short-term and long-term.
May I stop you for a
Mhm.
moment? So as those nurses who may have an additional house somewhere, for us, it could be something as simple as renting out a property to a travel nurse.
Mhm.
Or a family who may be in need, maybe, because here we have Mayo Hospital.
Yes.
And so it could be somebody who's going to be hospitalized for months, and that family's going to need a place to live. That would be another type of business, short-term rental.
Yes, I know a lot of travel nurses that have, a property that they rent out short-term or Airbnb whenever they're in town for their own property. They'll stay there, they'll block out those dates, but then they'll rent it out for the purpose of the time that they're gone.
Makes sense.
Mhm.
And so that would be short-term and long-term rentals,
Mhm.
which is something that you can do if you have an investment property. And you
Yes.
mentioned location.
Yes.
So somebody was like, hey, I want to open up Airbnb. And I looked at the rates here for some of the super hosts. And I was like, I don't think Jacksonville may be the best place, or at least your neighborhood is the
Yeah.
best place, because it was so much competition.
Mhm.
So do you have any recommendations for those who are looking to invest in an Airbnb or something similar?
Yeah, so Tampa and Orlando, those are, Jacksonville is actually on the top 3 for investment properties, but Tampa and Orlando are more on the Airbnb side. So
Mhm.
I would suggest getting an Airbnb in one of those areas because there's a lot of tourist things to do. You have a lot of people, whether you have nurses or whatever your focus is for your investment property, you have a wider range of people that are coming into those areas.
Yes, and so, and you occupy real estate group, whether it's you, myself, or another real estate agent, we service the entire state. And
Yep.
then you, with your additional licenses, what
Mhm.
other states do you assist?
So, Florida and Virginia, and then soon Georgia, and then Occupy Real Estate Group is in 11 states, soon 15 states.
That is wonderful. So, doesn't matter where you are, if you
Yes.
need us, even if we may not be in the state that you're in, we can hopefully refer you to somebody who can assist you.
Definitely.
Our next question is, I love this, because when people are like, oh, I can't afford real estate, I'm like, you can't afford not to have real estate.
Yeah.
What are some of the tax advantages of owning real estate, whether it's going to be your primary residence or a commercial property?
Yes, so again, I'm not a tax professional.
Disclaimer.
But also there are certain tax benefits in different states as well. So for instance, Florida, we are a homestead state. Yes, so we get to save extra money on our property taxes, state and local taxes, and things like that. So that takes a portion of your taxes off on your when you file for homestead, and you have to do that by March the following year after you purchase your house. And then there's other tax deductions that you can take off, like your mortgage interest, and then there's a couple of other deductions as well when it comes to purchasing a house.
Okay, now don't forget about the equity.
Oh, and the equity.
Yes, the equity.
Yes, the equity is the best part. Can't forget about that one.
And so for those of you all who don't know what equity is, it's the amount of appreciation, how much your house is actually, how much of the loan that you own your house. So let's say I owe $150,000 on my home, but if I were to sell it, I could sell it for $300,000. That means I have $150,000 in equity.
Yes.
And so you're taxed at a different bracket if you can hold on to that property for a year. So that's why it's really important that whenever you are trying to purchase real estate, that you do have an accountant, a lawyer, somebody who knows on your team. Because when you're trying to flip houses, if you flip them too fast, Uncle Sam's coming for you.
Yes.
Those taxes could be a lot. And so our goal is to help you save money whenever you become a real estate investor. We talked about the homestead exemption, depreciation. So depreciation is also, land doesn't depreciate. So I do have some commercial property. I'd be trying to be like, you sure we can't depreciate this land? But as far as a business owner, I get to write off the property maintenance. So I lease this particular building I'm in now, but I still own commercial properties. And so today I needed some lights changed. I just pick up the phone, I call, and maintenance comes and change the lights. But when you're that commercial property owner, when you own that building, you're everything. So there are advantages to leasing and disadvantages. So how would someone know if they should lease or buy a commercial property?
So that sort of goes back to your why. We always ask the question why you're purchasing, but there are a lot more benefits in purchasing than there are with leasing. And the reason why is because when you're paying that money, whether it's $1,500 or whatever your monthly rent is, that money's going away. The only thing you get back is your deposit.
And you don't build any equity. And
You
you
don't
don't
build
even
any
appreciate
equity.
anything.
You can't write anything off your taxes. So all that money is just going to the landlord paying their mortgage. So whether you decide to find a property that is the same amount or just slightly higher, you could probably get a property that's just about the same or maybe even better, to start building that equity, and then you pull that money out the next year, house hack, and get another property.
Yes, and so as someone who's gone through both processes, this is how I look at leasing. Right now I'm leasing because it was just the easiest for me at the time because of zoning.
Mm-hmm.
But because I own a property, I didn't. I just moved out and then I rented it out. So either way, I still have extra income. So
Yes.
it's still income producing whether I'm in it or not. And I actually own it. So as the equity builds, I still own that. So whenever you are renovating, whenever you're leasing a building, you're doing all the stuff to the building, that doesn't benefit you.
Mm-hmm.
It benefits the commercial property owner.
Yes.
And so you want to be thinking about those things. And if you're just starting off, then of course we're not even worried about you purchasing a commercial property for your business just yet. But as we started off, we said you want to start with the end in mind.
Yes.
And so if you want to purchase commercial properties, we got to start thinking about it now, because you're going to need about what % down for a commercial real estate?
So for commercial real estate, it varies based on the property.
Mhm.
Sometimes there are loans and grants that you can get as well. We like to say 20% to have 20% in the bank for commercial property. Some loans you can get it down to 15% or even 10%, just depending on the loan that you go through, the grant, and then the type of property as well.
Okay, and so as someone who's actually been approved for a commercial loan before, you need an accountant.
Yes.
First of all, you need QuickBooks Online. You have to be a good bookkeeper, because the bank just, even though you can have your business plan, you have your projections, they're not going to go by what you say. How much money is your business generating? We need proof. We need receipts. And then what is your profit and loss? If you don't understand what those terms mean, you can go to SBA.gov or you can reach out to your local chamber. I am a fan of the chamber. Some people think that if chambers are expensive, they have so many free programs.
Yes.
And you can meet and network with people. So I would really recommend that if you're thinking about purchasing your own commercial property for your IV therapy company. I know a nurse who has her own yoga studio. Nurses are killing it right now. I have my own training business. So if you're thinking about purchasing your commercial property, number one, get those books in order. Number two, add people to your team. You need that accountant, you need that bookkeeper, and then also start saving up, because right now we know commercial real estate is at its prime.
Yes.
And so if you want to purchase a property that's $300,000, 20%, that's not including zoning, that's not including furniture, that's not including anything. It's $60,000. But I want you to be thinking about what's going to happen in 10 years. You could either be paying out $2,000 a month over the next 10 years and never own anything and just walk away, or you can own a property and actually have an inheritance for your children's children. And that's why that's the real reason why I invested in commercial properties.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's on my list this year. I have my property in mind.
All right. Do you need a real estate agent? All right. And so we're almost going to wrap up here, but what advice do you have for a first-time home buyer or a first-time real estate investor?
So I always say focus on your own journey, because it can get really easy to compare to other people and what other people have gone through. Everybody's journey is different, no matter if they have the same credit score, have the same financial profile. Everybody has a different plan that is set in place for that person. So always focus on your own journey, but always reach out to a professional. We have family members, we have uncles, aunts, and everything, and that are going to give great advice for what type of furniture you're going to get, but not for your real estate investment. So make sure you contact a professional who is doing it every day and is looking at the market, looking at what the market is doing, and everything that entails, investing and all of that stuff as well.
Okay. And so how could others contact you?
Yes, I will give you guys my business number, 904 567-6900. And then if you want to follow me on social media, you can find me at Tinesha Tutt, Tinesha.
Please spell it right.
Please spell it right.
Would you spell it again for us, Tanisha?
Tinesha, and my last name is Tutt. Not like King Tut, but I am the queen.
Oh my, yes. Well, it's also I'll make sure I put that information in the description area below. And I just want to thank you so much. So in closing, you all, thank you for watching the entire video. My name is Eunice Mathis. In addition to being a nurse entrepreneur and a real estate agent, I also have a mentorship group. It's called Entrepreneur's Corner. It's only $50 per month, like $49.99 right here on YouTube. And if you're just starting off, or if you have a business that has stalled, I help business owners grow their businesses. And so this is what I do. This is my passion. I'll have that information in the description area also. And if you're looking for real estate, my website is nurse2realtor.com. And so if you're a nurse who works a crazy schedule like I do, I can meet you before you go into the office or before you go into the hospital or afterwards. And of course, if I can't be of assistance, I have a wonderful partner who can. So thank you all for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to our channel. Bye, everybody.
Bye.